Have you ever had an experience of being really amazed and really joyful, and at the same time, you're really kind of disbelieving and you are really kind of wondering about what happened? Um, I think all of us, if we take a minute, we can think of some stories in our lives where that is true. Maybe you've fallen in love with somebody and they've fallen in love with you as well. And there's a lot of joy around that. And also sometimes there's wonder. And maybe you're filled with amazement and you're also kind of disbelieving, like, is this really happening to me? Maybe you have gotten a job that you never thought was going to be possible, and you really love it. And there's a lot of joy around it and a lot of amazement that you were chosen. And yet sometimes you wonder, oh my gosh, can I do this job? I can't believe they hired me to do it. There might be other experiences in your life, and if there are and you want to share them, we would love to hear more about it. You can go ahead and send us an email at church with our email address, which is secretary@edwards-ucc.org, or just go to our website, or leave a comment here on Facebook or on YouTube. This story this morning is our third story since the resurrection of Jesus that centers on the disciples and his followers and what they go through when they realize he's dead, and then they realize that he isn't in the tomb. He's not where they expected him to be. They, in the various stories, they see him and they experience him in different ways. This week's story is after there were some folks on the road to Emmaus, and they're talking and walking with this man, and this man invites himself to dinner with them, and while they're eating, they realize it's Jesus. And after that, the people get up and they return to Jerusalem, where they find the 11, and they're together, and they say, it's true, he's really alive. And as they are talking about this, Jesus suddenly is standing among them. And he says, peace be with you. I think we might need some little bit of reassurance if Jesus showed up in the room with us, wouldn't we? Because there'd be a lot of feelings going on, wouldn't there? It says that they were startled and they were frightened and they thought they saw a ghost. Jesus says, why are you troubled, and why do doubts rise in your mind? Look, my hands and my feet. It's me. Touch me and see, I'm not a ghost. I have flesh and bones. They were amazed. They were wondering. And it tells us that they were disbelieving, and that amazement was turning to wonder as well. They were having all of those feelings all at the same time, which we can understand, can't we? We can understand what that's like. And I would imagine if Jesus showed up wherever you are, you would be having some of those same feelings today. And I would even hazard a guess, even if Jesus weren't here, many of us wonder about the reality of Jesus rising from the dead. What does that mean? We struggle. They struggled and we struggle to see. But Jesus invites them to touch him. And that physicality, that very physicality, that flesh of his, is kind of a bookend to the birth story, where we have incarnation, where God comes to earth in the form of a human, and then the resurrection, when God comes back to us after death in the form of a human. And that lets us know that creation is God, and that is holy, that God is indwelling, as we say, in each and every one of us. That resurrection power of being a part of God's kingdom or kingdom, that family that God has created, that in Mark we are told is now and is here. It's not something we wait for. It's happening right now. We are in it. And that our bodies and our lives are good and they are created by God. This physicality of Jesus is miraculous. And it's nearly impossible to understand it and sometimes even to believe it. But it is a sign for us. And it does create the possibility to suspend our disbelief. While you are in your joy and in your amazement in life, you also have times when you are wondering and when you are disbelieving. And that is the importance of that bodily resurrection for Jesus, and that he made sure that the people who were there with him touched him and felt him, and in Peter's case, put their hands and their fingers in his wounds so that we would know it was really real. These ancient stories that we keep reading and telling in our Bible study each week, we're often just amazed at how the stories of what people went through and the ways in which Jesus was talking to them or God was appearing is just as important and is just as timely as our lives are. So often we are experiencing the same things, and those words from those ancient scriptures and the stories that we hold so dearly meet us on our very journey today. That astonishment, that ability to be taken aback that the disciples and all of his followers had, those lucky ones who saw him after his resurrection, call us to question, is it or isn't it true? Is it possible or is it impossible? It calls us to be open-minded. It calls us to be open to possibilities. This resurrection that Jesus' followers experienced, his resurrection, is similar to the resurrection we experience when God gives us a new way of looking at something, a way of resurrecting a relationship that has come to ruins, perhaps. The possibility that there could be something good out of something bad. That resurrection is possible for each and every one of us. Here at Edwards, we also wonder, what is our resurrection? Where is God calling us to? We know we have to get beyond just our folks here in our building, and we have, over the 100+ years of our existence, over 180 actually, we have found ways to be involved in the community and for the community to benefit from our congregation. We've had many dreamers over the years. We had dreamers who left 9th and Perry downtown and built this building up in a strawberry field. And in the words of the pastor at that dedication, he says it is time to dream new dreams. And we are there. We have had this period of reflection through COVID to reevaluate what is God calling us to in our lives personally, each and every one of us, as well as our congregation. And we have had some dreamers. Just a few weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago, I don't know, COVID time, maybe it was 2 months ago, I don't know. I've lost track of time with COVID. A small group of us sat to think about, what could we do to use this gift of our building, to make it available to the community, because it's bigger than we use right now, and we have some lovely space. And we sat there and were thinking, and one of our people, one of our dreamers, said, let's have a tutoring program. That was Brian. Brian and his wife Jane had belonged to another church that had a tutoring program, and they met after school with the local school kids. And I will be honest, I thought, okay, well, that's a great idea. I don't know how that's going to work. And, we plan and God laughs because God made it happen in the blink of an eye. One person mentioned to another person that we had a handicap accessible building, an open space, and friendly people. And we are going to, as long as everything comes out, we will be hopefully hosting a tutoring program here in our school this fall, in our church this fall. The local Eisenhower School will be our source for children who need some extra tutoring after school, 2 days a week. It's an opportunity to look at new things in new ways, to be able to touch Jesus in a way that we never expected. It is a way for us to remain open-minded about how these miracles can happen. We are called through this story of these disciples thousands of years ago who were both joyful and amazed, as well as disbelieving and wondering. We are called to look at things the way they did and to take the actions they did, which are touch Jesus. How can you touch Jesus this week? Can you help with a donation to some cause that's important to you? Perhaps to the needs at there's an organization that is hosting 2,400 of the refugee children this week, and they are in need of various things, obviously. We need to feed Jesus. We have a food pantry outside of our church that's open 24/7. You are welcome to stop by if you are in need, or if you know someone who is in need. Please send them here. There is food for them. Like the disciples, we are called to enjoy Jesus. We are called to dance with Jesus, to have fun with Jesus in the ways in which we honor and praise Jesus, maybe through singing or dancing. We're called to be amazed by Jesus. If it's been a while since you opened up a Bible, or if you need a Bible, we have them here at church, but if it's been a while, why don't you go ahead and open up the book of Luke, and be amazed by some of these stories of Jesus. If you don't have a Bible, you can get a free Bible app on your phone. A while ago, I talked to people about that. There's something called YouVersion. It's an app, Y-O-U version, and you can read the Bible there in many different translations. You can do Bible studies. You can have an encouraging word. There are many ways to be amazed by Jesus. We're called to wonder. Springtime is an incredible time to be in wonder, to wonder over the beautiful blooming trees and the flowers and the birds that are singing. And lastly, it's always good to question Jesus. Jesus can take it. If you wonder how this all works, if you wonder where you fit in Jesus' story, if you wonder where you fit in the world, talk to Jesus. Question him. Ask Jesus, where do I fit? And where can I find peace? Because I can guarantee that in seeking, you will find, and in reaching out, you too can touch Jesus.